friends, Jeff here with missionmusician.com and mixpractice.com, and today I want to do a short review on Sound Radix Auto Align. So if you've ever dealt with live drums that have multiple mics on them and you just can't get them to sound good in the mix, there's a good chance that something's out of phase. And when something's out of phase, it sounds thin or hollow or not as punchy. So things get out of phase when we have multiple mics on something. So say, your overheads, if they're not the correct distance from the snare drum to each one of them, they can get out of phase. And all the other microphones on the drum kit could be pointing in different directions. For example, the snare top mic is pointing down at the snare bottom mic is pointing up at the snare. So they're pointing in two different directions. So as a result of that, if you don't flip the phase on your interface, they will record out of phase and it'll sound weak and thin. Okay, so we're going to use Auto Align on a drum set, and we're going to put it in phase. Here's what Auto Align says. When recording an instrument with more than one mic, sounds tend to reach each microphone at slightly different time, and thus cause some frequencies to cancel each other, while other frequencies can build up unnaturally. This phenomenon is known as the comb filter effect. Until now, compensating for the delay between the microphones had to be done manually, an extremely time-consuming and inaccurate process. Enter Auto Align. Auto Align will listen to your multi-mic recording and automatically measure and compensate for the delay between the microphones, or between a DI box and a microphone. So that would mean like a bass recorded directly and a bass amp recorded through a microphone. It will sample accurately, significantly reducing the comb filter effect and dramatically improving the resulting sound. When distant microphones are used and a delay is desired to enhance the sense of space, such as a room microphone on a drum set. Let's see, where was I? Auto Align can time place the microphones to better match the close mic source and therefore minimize the comb filtering effect. Or the comb filter effect, excuse me. Auto Align can also automatically detect a reverse polarity mic and compensate for it. So, in the old days, we had to manually invert the phase if something was out of phase. So, for example, if we didn't do it in the recording process, we have to fix it in the mixing process. So we would have to take an EQ or a trim plugin or whatever, something that has a phase invert button, and invert the phase of something that was out of phase. Okay, so an example of that would be, let's see here. Let's see if one of these is out of phase. Okay, so the fat kick and the kick. So this is going up and this is going down, so this is out of phase. So in the old days, I would have to put an EQ plugin on here and flip the phase of this one to get it back in phase with this kick drum. Or another option would be to go to Audio Suite and go to Invert, and I could invert this track. So let me hit render, and now you see this is going up and this is going up. Okay, so they're in phase with each other. But however, I'm looking at this and they are not time aligned. So this one starts a little bit earlier than this one. Okay, so Auto Align can fix that. Now, let me undo that really quick. Oops. Now, the problem that I have with this plugin is the actual manual itself. So it's not terribly specific. So I'll just read to you here what it says. Excuse me. Insert Auto Align into the first insert effect slot of the tracks you'd like to align. Auto align serves as a router as well, therefore it is necessary to insert it on the reference track and the secondary track. For example, a closed mic dynamic and a distant condenser. On the reference track, click on the send number to select the bus 1 through 9. Bus 0 is off. The selected send number will turn red. On the receiving track, click on the receiving number to select the corresponding bus number. When a connection is made, the send and receive numbers will turn green. For drums, set the noise floor fader safely above the bleed range. While your DAW is playing back, click on the detect button. Once auto align has collected enough data, it will automatically stop the detection process and align the receiving track to best match the sender track. Auto align has an innovative stereo management algorithm which enables true stereo alignment and intelligent stereo to mono, mono to stereo alignment. All right, so that's not very helpful to me. I'm not a super smart guy, so that's not very detailed instructions. So one of the guys over at Mix Practice actually emailed Radix and asked for a more detailed description. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go by these directions. And I'll read it as we go. There's no sense in doing it, reading it and then doing it. So we'll go step by step. But I want to read the very first sentence. Because phase correlation is relative, there's really no wrong order. What does it say? There's really no wrong order way to do it. Having said that, to achieve the best performance time reproduction, we recommend to use the top snare mic as the initial point of reference and align the drum tracks in this order. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So the very first thing I'm going to do, let me let you hear these drums first of all. These were recorded in a basement. Okay, so not the best sounding drums in the world, but we can make them sound better without adding any EQ, any compression, anything. We can make our starting drums sound better. So let's do that. Let's throw Radix on the top snare mic here. Excuse me. Let's see here. All right, so I'm going to go to plugin and get auto align. And forgive me, I've had a little bit of a cold here. So what I'm going to do here is, let me pull up the instructions again. Align the overhead mics to the top snare mic. Top snare equals send 1, overheads equals receive 1. Okay? So the very first thing I'm going to do is set my noise floor bleed here. Just trying to capture the snare sound, okay? So I'm going to set this to send on channel 1, okay? So now I can go down to the overheads and put on auto align. And we're going to receive on channel 1 here. Let's see. Where is receive at? Okay, sorry about that. So we're going to receive on channel 1. Okay, so now we should be receiving the snare on this instance of auto align. Okay, so I'm going to select it for delay and polarity. And then I'm going to hit detect and let this play. And let's see what it does. Okay, And we're just going to go through and follow the directions. At the end, we're going to bypass this and see what it sounds like. So I'm going to close this, and let's see what it says to do next. All right, align the bottom snare mic with any additional snare mics to the top snare mic, receive 1. All right, so let's go to the snare mic, or the bottom snare, I should say, I'm sorry. And let's throw on auto align, and we're going to receive on 1. And I'm going to select delay and polarity, and I'm going to adjust the noise floor here really quick. All right, now I'm going to detect. Okay, so that one's done. Let's go back to the instructions. If the overheads are recorded onto a interleaved stereo track, set the same auto align send to send to. Otherwise, set the left overhead to send 2 and the right overhead to send 3. Excuse me. Okay, so this is interleaved. So I'm going to set the send to 2. Okay, simple enough. Align the kick mic to the overhead so the kick will be on receive 2. And then send it to 4 if there are additional kick mics, and align them to the main kick, receive 4. So there are additional kick mics. So let's go to the kick. This is the main kick. And let's put on auto align. And we're going to receive from 2, and we're going to send on 4. Technically, we could send on 3 because we didn't use 3 for separate mono stereo track or overheads. But I'm just going to use 4 to keep it simple. All right, so let's crank this up and listen to what it does here. All right, let's detect here. Okay, so let's go to our other kick drum, and we're going to receive on 4. All right, so let's receive on 4. All right, cool. Let's see what it says to do next. Align the tom mics to the overheads in correlation with their position. If there are additional tom mics, then align them to the top tom mics. So if there are tom mics on the bottom of the tom, which is seldom the case anymore, you would align them to the top tom mics. All right, so we're going to receive from 2 on the tom mics, and let's get to tom 1 first. And let's find a spot here really quick where it hits. Sorry, this is going to get annoying for just a few minutes, so bear with me. Okay. You know what? I didn't do delay and polarity, so let's do that again. Let's do the next one. We're going to receive on 2 again. So let's select that. Let's set our noise floor here. And then let's detect it. All right, cool. Let's go down to the last tom and let me find a spot where it hits. Whoops. Okay, cool. And what I really meant to do was kind of pan these out. I guess I should have done that beforehand, but that's all right. We'll see what it does here. All right, let's see what it says next. Align the hi-hat mic to the overheads, receive 2. Okay, we do have a hi-hat mic here. So let's grab auto align and set it for receive 2. And let's try to find, let me solo this really quick. Try to find out where these are hitting pretty hard here. All right, let's try that again. All right, and you can tell if it's getting the instrument by this pouncing signal here, and it is capturing the hi-hat. So far, so good. All right, we got one more to go. We got the room to go still. Okay, so align the room mics to the top snare mic, so send 1. Okay, so this is kind of important here. If you would like to preserve some of the delay between the microphones while still improving phase correlation, use the next previous buttons to move the timing of the mic further or closer in time to the next correlative position. Okay, so oops, sorry about that. What I meant to do is click on this. Okay, so a lot of times we don't want the the room mic to be pulled into time with like the overheads. So we kind of want that a little bit of delay for that space. So what you would do in this instance is align it, and then you could use these buttons to move it back but still keep it in correct phase. Okay, so let's play this here and set the noise floor. We're going to receive on our snare track. So that's 1. I believe that's what it said. Yep. All right. Okay, so what we could do if we felt like that brought it too close is we could click next and make it further, and click next and make it further. I'm not going to do that. I think this is fine. So let's listen to these drums, and maybe I should bounce them a little bit better. Okay, so let's bypass this. Actually, let me get rid of this click track. Let's bypass these and bring them in. Oops. Try that again. All right, bypass them and bring them in. Pretty amazing, right? So without any EQ, we've got this thin kind of, or I'm sorry, without the auto line, we have this thin nasal sounding drum set. But with auto line, we have a focused, punchy kit without any EQ or compression added to it so far. So we're already starting at a better place because the drums are now in phase. And this plugin makes it much more easier to put the drums in time and, or not in time, but in phase correlation and give you a much powerful drum sound. Let's listen one more time. Listen to the snare. Now listen to the kick. And since we're right here at this fill, let's listen to the toms. Let's see what it's doing here. So the toms sound more focused. Everything sounds more focused, and that's what this plugin can do for you. Yes, you can do this manually. It is a little bit more cumbersome, but if your drums aren't in phase, no matter what you do to EQ and compress them, they are not going to sound powerful and punchy. So make sure that your drums are in phase when you mix. Never trust whoever sent you the session if you're mixing for someone else. Always check it. Always check the drums against each other to make sure they're in phase. All right, so hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you like these type of videos, and I'll see you in another video real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.